Hello and welcome to today's show. I'm Omar and I'll be your host. Today we're going to be working on a 16 by 20 canvas. This is a cotton canvas, and it's already been prepared with an underpainting. Now it's an acrylic underpainting, and today we're going to be painting an abstract. This is our very first episode, so I want to continue with the abstract style and theme, and we're going to try to be as creative as possible because I think art is something that allows people to express creativity, and that's very important. And if you're painting, you can paint along with us. If you haven't already, developed an underpainting, this underpainting was developed with the following process. We used a white gesso on the canvas, and then we mixed paint. We colored the paint, and we added colors, and we mixed, and we used a following brush pattern. Right now this canvas is dry, but we used a rounded brush pattern. That's a kind of a pattern I've developed. And you're watching the way I'm using the brush. And you can use a large round brush for that, and you can use small round brushes, but it's a continuous movement. And you can also take it off the edge of the page, and off the edge of the canvas, then back onto the canvas. But you want large, smooth movements. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that right now, because I think it's good to have that technique. But what we're going to do is we're going to add small sections of that right now. So I'm going to use a smaller round brush. This is number 4. And I'm going to mix a couple paints. So beautiful things can be done with this paint. Primary cyan. Another one is red. You can use a pearl red and white. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to use some of this titanium white, and we're going to use some of this primary cyan. We can just get it right off out of the tube, put it on our round brush. We're going to, excuse me one moment, I'm going to grab some of this titanium white. Now these are acrylic paints we're using. So here, let me demonstrate some of that brush stroke. So now here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to want to have darker areas and lighter areas. As you notice, there's some dabbing brush strokes, and there's been smoothing brush strokes. This is our underpainting. Now, it's always good to have a concept of what you want for a painting later on, but this is as abstract and free-flowing as possible. This is going to be an abstract, and this is a great underpainting. You can sometimes see something as you're painting and make something creative from that. So that's what we're going to do here. But we also like to look at proportions and how it's going to be aesthetic. And you want to see if someone's going to be able to enjoy the art, not only for today or tomorrow, but for a lifetime. Because you do want to share your art with lots of people and get your message out there. And it's important for art to have a message as well. So the message for this piece I'm thinking about is more about the universe as a macrocosm and as universe as a enjoyable microcosm. So something that's going to be comfortable, cozy, but also make you think about the universe a little bit. Think about something beyond yourself and something within yourself at the same time. Saying some of that, I do talk a little bit about the conscious and subconscious effects of art and other items in life, and that's a beautiful thing. But let's focus a little bit more on the painting now. And I'm going to explain to you what I'm doing as I go along. So I'm going to be mixing this blue paint. This is a cyan blue, I believe. I'll double check that for you. Yeah, primary cyan. So we're using a primary cyan and titanium white. So you're going to see how these colors work together. So we're going to be adding a little bit here. I'm going to just mark it out for you. Just add some of the paint there, that primary cyan. It's okay to get a little extra paint on there because if we're working with thicker colors, it's really going to shine through. Some there. I want to add some here because I see this contrast in between here that I really like. I want to accentuate that a little bit. I want to use some here. I want to use some here. I want to use some here. Now I don't want to oversaturate the piece, but I do want some kind of balance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some of this white here with some blue still on here, and I'm going to look at how that color turns out, and that's nice. That's really nice. That's just coming out great. And you can kind of blend the color together. I'm just using short little strokes like so. Short little strokes like so. I also want to mix this white paint into this blue, but I want some of that awesome coloring to show through a little bit, because that's really the striking differences. So I'm using short little strokes, and it's coming out just fine. Now acrylic paints dry quicker than oil paints, for example. There's all kinds of paints you can use. Basically, just whatever, medium in the pigment, and medium in pigment, So medium can be oil, it can be acrylic. Now, we're just going to continue with that. We go, work fairly quickly, but not too quickly. We're just working these areas over, trying to get some of that color to show through, and some of this brighter color. This underpainting, not everything in the universe is cold and dark. A lot of it can seem that way, seem daunting, intimidating. Not everything is. Not everything is what meets the eye. And you know what? You get to create your own universes in paint. This is one of those things that, can help people overcome trauma even in life. There's different places where people paint. The Vice President's wife, Karen Pence, I live in the United States. So right now we have a Vice President. His name is Mr. Pence, and he has a wife, and his wife also does painting, and she helps people overcome trauma with painting. And so I'm a big fan of hers, because she works in that field. So I'll just give a shout out to Mr. Pence and her and his wife Karen. So we're gonna do that. And he's the vice president. So okay. So we've got this. Now you see this color here. You see these colors. Now I moved my brush or stylus or whatever I'm using, or knife pen, this way. So I want to give it a more three-dimensional effect. So I'm going to work some brush strokes while the paint is still dry in another direction a little bit. I'm just gonna carefully move that in the linear. I'm going to blur some of these edges while I'm doing that. And, we have an audience. Hi, audience. Please have a seat, and we'll continue on this painting. Now, the flashes in the background are from the time-lapse camera. So we're going to continue with our painting here. We just put some primary cyan down with some titanium white to get these nice little clouds or vector functions of space. So we're going to continue with our theme of understanding a macrocosm and a microcosm. And we're going to add a little phthalo blue. Now I want to mix these paints. So I'm going to grab a little piece of cardstock here that I use. Try to use this paint as efficiently as possible. And I even paint on my little easels here. So you can actually paint on your easel, little backgrounds and stuff, as you're mixing paint, using paint. And you don't waste any paint that way. I think that's pretty environmentally conscious, to do things like that. And we're going to continue here. So I'm going to add a bunch of paint, our round brush here. If anyone in the audience has any questions, you're welcome to ask a question. And thank you again for joining us at home and in the audience. So thank you. And we're going to continue here. Got this Hansa yellow and this phthalo turquoise. So we're going to go ahead and use these colors. Now we're focused right now on adding a layer of paint to the background. And I like painting in layers. It really has character show through, and especially with the time lapse, you see a little bit more of the now right here you see a little bit more of the process and the procedure and as to why you're doing those things. Now, since this is more of a demonstration, I'm going to work from background to foreground, but I still want to include a lot of these effects that I'm trying to portray. And these effects are going to help people understand and demonstrate different features of the art. Now here on my little palette, I'm mixing the yellow and the turquoise. I believe a Hansa yellow and a turquoise. And you see that striking contrast? That contrast can be actually applied. So I'm going to mix two of these colors together. So I have that mixed color here. And then I can use the mixed color as a base layer. And I'm using strokes. I'm trying to get enough paint on there as well. So I'm using strokes. And this mixed color, so I'm mixing the two colors and I get a different green, but it's a very striking green. I really like that. Turquoise really helps with the little yellow, helps this striking green color. So we're going to go a little bit back and forth here. We're going to go back and forth right on the edges. Create a depth of field in the center so I can create a focal point later on. And this is all abstract. So you can play around with it a little bit. And I'll show you what I'm going to be doing next. But next I'll be adding color feature to these. You don't have to add too much. You just want to add a little thick layer of paint here. And it's important to take little breaks. Take a step back from your painting and take a look at your painting. Take a look, see what it's looking like, what kind of creation you're creating. Mix the colors. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add straight yellow or highly mixed yellow. So we're going to take this yellow and we're going to mix just a little of this turquoise into it. Just a little bit. So it's a different color, a different shade. Trying to go for a lighter shade. It wasn't light enough, so I'm going to add some highlights. Just some highlights.
What is this? What are you doing?
Oh, we have a question from the audience. Yes, please.
What are you trying to accomplish at the end? When will the painting be
Oh,
done?
it may take a while. If you need to take a break, go ahead and take a break. But this painting, it could take a while. Because I try to paint with the layers, and I try to go along with things. I try to make each painting one of kind. I do spend some time on my paintings. I understand that, but that is my style. But anyone can do this, I do recommend educating yourself and having a message in your art, something positive, something uplifting, and there's an enjoyment in it, and it can help people overcome whatever stresses they may have in life, because you can create anything you want on a canvas, really. You can even glue things to it. Right now I'm adding the phthalo highlights, these turquoise highlights. But these are the darker highlights. We added light highlights, now we're getting darker highlights. But the end goal of this painting today, like I said, will be understanding a macrocosm versus a microcosm. It's supposed to elicit a conscious effect of feeling safe in one's surroundings, and also thinking about a greater purpose of existence and the expanse of the universe. And I chose that for this first episode here. Great question. Thank you very much. I'd encourage everyone to get involved in art, even if it's just about the discussion of art. Now we can add some colors here that we didn't add before in a different style. Actually, we added some colors this way. I want to add something this way. We're going to try to weave colors into this as well. So let's try to weave some colors. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lightly swirl this paint, just lightly, ever so slightly, just so the colors are striking and mixed. And I'm going to roll this paint onto the brush. Just roll the brush over the paint. And I'll mix it but it won't mix it too much. What we're gonna do is we're gonna dab the paint on, and then we're gonna striate it out. We're gonna make it look as if it's weaved through the background. So that's actually beautiful. So we're gonna stop over sections, stop and continue the weave over sections, and we're basically just trying to put on paint. And we might just add 1 or 2 weaves, or a section here and a section there, and we can miss a section. It just adds to the painting. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay. Add some here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to dab that. We're just going to use short striking brush strokes. We're just going to dab that. Then we're going to break and then dab that. Then break a little bit, maybe a little there, maybe a little, break a little bit, and it will extend the dabbing. Just a dabbing motion. You want to go straight up and down with the round brush. Straight up and down with the round brush. Just over that paint we just added. Just over that paint we just added. Just get a feel for that. Get a feel for that. We're not going to feather it out because we're marking lines. We might use a smaller brush to feather it out. I'm going to show you that in a moment. Make sure we don't miss any spots so it's all uniform. Don't forget where you put the paint. You can see it. Don't forget, check that you didn't miss any spots where you wanted to put the paint. Add little lines if you want. It's kind of a weaving pattern. So, now what we're going to do, now we have this weaving pattern, we're going to add highlights on the edge of all these weavings. Now, we don't want to forget the edges, so let's put some over here. So let's go ahead and highlight the weaving pattern. What we're going to do is we're going to clean this brush. I'm going to get a smaller brush right here to dab those edges, but I'm going to add a new color. So I'm going to clean this brush and I'll be right back.